Yang ketiga ada biooptik. Biooptik tersusun atas kata bio dan optik. Bio berkaitan dengan makhluk hidup atau zat hidup atau bagian tertentu dari makhluk hidup. Sedangkan optik dikenal sebagai bagian ilmu fisika yang berkaitan dengan cahaya atau berkas sinar. Secara spesifik ada klasifikasi optik geometri dan optika fisis. Fokus utama di biooptik adalah terkait dengan indera penglihatan manusia, yaitu mata. Mata menjadi alat optik yang paling dekat dengan kita dan merupakan sistem optik yang paling penting pada manusia atau makhluk hidup. Ini adalah beberapa contoh penerapan biooptik. Pertama ada endoskopi, yaitu menggunakan cahaya dan kamera untuk melihat bagian dalam tubuh seperti saluran pencernaan tanpa perlu melakukan operasi besar. Yang kedua ada mikroskop, digunakan untuk memeriksa sampel jaringan atau cairan tubuh pada tingkat seluler, membantu dalam diagnosa penyakit. Tiga ada oftalmoskopi, yaitu merupakan alat untuk mendeteksi dan mengevaluasi gejala ablasi retina atau penyakit mata seperti glaukoma dengan memeriksa mata dengan melihat langsung bagian dalam mata melalui pupil. Berikut akan saya tunjukkan penggunaan alat oftalmoskopi pada biooptik.
Okay guys, so today let's see this ophthalmoscope. So as you know, this is ophthalmoscope and I'm just going to tell you the different parts of this ophthalmoscope. So this is the first part. So what it does, it is helpful just in switching it on, switching it off. That's the function of this part, right? Second is this part. So once it is on, so to adjust this number here, to adjust this lens, this dial you have to use. So if you move it, you will be able to see different numbers, but always make sure it is on number 0, right? And the third one, there is another dial here. This you have to be very careful, this one. So when you move this, you will be able to get different settings of this ophthalmoscope. I'll show it to you now. So as you can see, now the light is off because you will be doing this examination in dark room only. So switch it on, switch it off. Here you can just set it on 0. Now, the setting I was telling you, this one. So when you move this dial, you'll be able to see different settings. Small moon, a bit bigger, biggest one, colored, slit, plus, and again the small moon. So for the exam purpose, what you can do, you can go with the middle full moon, right? So what you have to do now, let's see how you hold this ophthalmoscope. So how you hold this ophthalmoscope is simple. You hold it like a mic. Right? You hold it like a mic and you can put your index finger on this dial here. This is the perfect way of holding this instrument. Make sure if you're checking the right eye of the patient, you're holding it in your right hand and you're checking it with your right eye. And if you're checking the left eye of the patient, you will be holding it in your left hand and you'll be checking it with your left eye. Please do not make this mistake. Right, left, left. Now, let me switch off the light. Now, so why I told you to put it on middle full moon? Because before we check the fundus, we need to check the red reflex. So what we do in the red reflex, again we'll be holding it in this way in the right hand like a mic, and as I'm checking the reflex in the right eye, so I'll be holding it in right hand, right eye, and I'll be roughly at 1 arm distance from the patient, right? And I'll be able to check the red reflex. There will be a red dot that you'll be able to see in the patient. Okay, so after you're done with the red reflex, so what we have to do, we have to check the fundus. So same way as you're checking the red reflex like this, so what we do, we go close to the patient, right, left. So you go close to the patient, you see the fundus. Other hand, maybe if you want, you can put on the patient forehead, right? And whatever you see in the fundus, you can verbalize accordingly. So that is how you do fundoscopy.
Dan yang terakhir ada biofluida. Biofluida merupakan zat alir yang mengalir dalam tubuh. Penerapan biofluida dalam keperawatan berfokus pada pemahaman dan pemanfaatan dinamika fluida biologis seperti darah, cairan tubuh, dan cairan cerebrospinal untuk mendukung diagnosis, terapi, serta pemantauan kondisi pasien. Nah, penerapan biofluida dalam keperawatan terbagi menjadi 6. Yang pertama ada pemberian cairan intravena atau yang disingkat IV. Yang kedua, pemantauan tekanan darah dalam dan volume darah. Ketiga, pengambilan darah dan analisis sampel darah. Keempat, pengelola drainase cairan luka. 5, pengukuran output urin. Keenam, terapi dialisis. Ini adalah beberapa contoh penerapan teknologi biofluida. Yang pertama ada Swan-Ganz catheter. Kateter ini digunakan untuk mengukur tekanan di dalam jantung dan pembuluh darah besar, serta mengukur cardiac output atau jumlah darah yang dipompa oleh jantung per menit. Yang kedua ada mesin hemodialisis. Mesin ini menggunakan membran semipermeabel untuk menyaring darah pasien dan mengembalikan cairan yang sudah dibersihkan ke dalam tubuh. Yang ketiga ada pompa infus. Alat ini mengontrol aliran cairan infus dengan tingkat kecepatan yang bisa diatur sesuai kebutuhan pasien. Yang keempat ada ventilator mekanik. Alat ini membantu pasien yang tidak bisa bernafas secara normal dengan mengatur aliran udara masuk keluar dari paru-paru. Yang terakhir ada pompa 4 dan smart 4 pumps. Digunakan untuk memberikan larutan elektrolit dan cairan intravena secara tepat. Berikut saya lampirkan contoh penggunaan kateter pada biofluida.
I'm going to float a pulmonary artery catheter, so I'm going to need a type of central catheter that has an introducer port, right there and right there. So I've already found the IJ with my finder needle, so I'm just going to go in through that same spot, hold negative pressure here. Always make sure that you're occluding any kind of catheter directly into the vein so it's not open. So now I hook up my tubing here and I raise it up. And that looks venous to me. If it were arterial, this blood would be coming up. One last thing that you can do to really make sure that this is truly venous is to transduce the waveform, and you need someone that's, you need an assistant to be able to do that. So I'm going to hand that to you and go ahead and hook it up to our transducer and we'll look at the pressure. Pressure's good, so this thing is venous. I can now take this off. So I take that off, go ahead and get rid of that for me. Now that this wire is back in, it's time to float our central catheter, so I'm going to load my cordis here with the dilator. Then when it gets to right here, there's a couple of points that I want to make. Number one, you should never insert this central line in until you've grabbed the wire on the opposite side, okay? Number two is this is going to meet a lot of resistance there at the skin, so you're going to need to make a small nick with a scalpel. Now that line is in, so now I can remove the dilator and the cylinder wire. All right, once that's in, I'm going to need my assistant to flush this line for me and hook up fluids. So that part's no longer sterile, I can't touch that anymore. Okay, so now that's not sterile anymore, so I'm just going to cover it with this blue drape. Okay, now that that's sewn into place, it's time to floor our swan, so I need an assistant here to help me. And, man, I'm going to give this to you. That's yours. Now, while he's taking care of that stuff, I'm just going to put this sterile cover over this one. All right, so I'm going to hook up this syringe to the balloon port, the red port right here. Now I'm going to hook up the saline to the white port. Now I'm going to hook up my CVP tubing to the blue port. And then I'm going to hook up my PA tubing to this yellow port here. All right, brother, let's test the balloon. Balloon up. Okay, balloon's good. Deflate the balloon. Okay, go ahead and flush my white port, please. And I can see that it's flushed. Okay, so now that that's flushed, go ahead and hook up my infusions. My infusion tubing here to the stopcock. I'll open the stopcock. Okay, now go ahead and flush my CDP, please. Okay, looks good. Go ahead and flush PA. Okay, looks good. We're ready to float this thing. Let's do it. Okay, so just ready to float this now. All right, why don't you go ahead and inflate the balloon for me? Balloon is now up. Okay, so now we're going to look at our pressure waveform to guide where this is as we advance. Okay, so right now you can see him in the right atrium. So I'm just going to advance here slowly. Watch for waveform changes. All right, looks like I'm in right ventricle now, so I'm going to keep advancing. Okay, that looks like PA because my diastolic pressure went up. And it looks like I've wedged right there. I'm going to stop right there. Okay, so once that's floated, I'm going to put that cap on. We're ready to go. I can take this drape off. All right, now take the sterile left side, please. Just prevent infection. There we go. We're ready to go.
Cukup sekian, terima kasih.